Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Saoirse. If you're new here, hello, welcome. On this channel, I primarily have been talking about knitting, but lately I have decided that I really want to expand the type of content that I'm filming for my channel, and some of the videos that I would really like to film are more bookish and would kind of fit better in booktube. So I'm kind of joining booktube, I guess, and I'm gonna start filming bookish content. I did do a knit and chat where I talked about books that I had read recently and my thoughts on them. I will leave that linked in the cards and down below if you do want to ever check that out. And I was going to continue with that series because I had a lot of fun talking about the books. However, I didn't love so much that it was a knit and chat, because it kind of felt like the only reason I made it a knit and chat was because I needed it to fit in the knitting niche. Needed it to still be knitting content in order to do it on my channel, but I have since decided that I don't really care about niching my channel, and I'm just gonna make the content that I personally love watching, regardless of whether it fits in with my channel, so to speak. My camera, my battery died, I had to replace it. So what I was basically saying is that I just want to explore other types of content, and bookish content is something I've been really into recently, and I just really wanted to, I don't know, be able to talk about the books that I'm reading, because I love talking about books and I love reading and I love watching bookish content, so I figured I would join in the fun. If you are new here and you're kind of looking around my channel, you're going to see a lot of knitting content and some old content from when I was mostly just doing AuthorTube. And going forward, I'm keeping the knitting content, so if you're someone who watches me for my knitting content, don't worry, that's not going anywhere. But in addition to the knitting content, I'm also going to have bookish content like these types of videos, and as well as vlogs that focus a lot on my writing journey, as well as reading and knitting, of course, as well. But yeah, I just thought I would kind of explain all of that. We're not pivoting, we're expanding. Okay, this video is going to be my May TBR. I'm going to talk about all of the books that are on my to be read list that I'm specifically trying to tackle this next month, which has already started. So this video is going up like a couple days late, but that's okay. Let's chat about the books that I am planning on reading this month. Now, this is subject to change because I do have quite a few holds that are I want to say they're probably not going to come in this month, but hopefully some of them will. And I didn't know really how many books to pick for my TBR, so we'll kind of see what ends up happening here. So the first book I have to talk about is one I'm actually currently reading. I was hoping to have it done in April, but it came out on like April 23rd, and I didn't start reading until maybe the 25th or something, and it's a huge book, and it is the last book in the Zodiac Academy series. It's Restless Stars, and I am at this point, I think I'm 45 to 50% of the way through the book. It's a long book. It has so many chapters and a lot of pages, obviously. And if you've seen the physical copies of the Zodiac Academy books, like especially the ones later on in the series, like they are thick, like they are just chunky little dudes. I don't know, man, they're huge. And yeah. Anyways, so far I'm loving it. I will give you my thoughts at the end of the month fully, but I'm loving the series. I've been reading it for the past few years. I think I started reading Zodiac Academy when the 7th book maybe had just come out, something like that. I remember having to wait for the 8th book to come out, and I thought the 8th book was the final, because I think originally it was supposed to be, and the whole time I'm like, how are they gonna wrap this up? Like, I'm so confused. Like, the closer I was getting to the end of that book, I was like, they're not gonna have enough time to wrap this series up. And I get to the end of the book and I'm like, oh, well, like, obviously there's another book. So I don't know how I ended up thinking that the 8th book was the final, but regardless, I'm really enjoying the series. It's one of my favorites. It's definitely a series that I love mostly for the characters. Is the writing always great? Maybe not. I personally don't have any issue with the writing. I think it's cheesy from time to time, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I love the characters, and I feel like these authors, I didn't say who the authors were, I should do that. The authors are Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. So they're really good at characterizing. Like, they're so good at crafting characters that you just want to hang out with, that you want to see succeed and find love and all of that. And there's so many beautiful romances in this series. Like, there's at least 3 that I'm very invested in. And yeah, so that's the first book that I will be reading in May. And hopefully it won't take me forever to finish it, but it is a big book, so, but I'm hoping I can power, you know, kind of, I want to savor it because it's like the end, but I'm also like so curious like how they're gonna end this series, and I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like I have a hard time putting the book down, so I feel like I'll probably have it finished in a couple of days. Also, I just wanted to show you, this is my Kindle. I read most things on here, so I don't usually have a huge selection of physical books to show because I primarily read on my Kindle, but if I have the physical copy of any of the books, I will show you them. I have one to show you, but the rest I'm going to be getting on Kindle. I don't know, these are not in any particular order, but which one? There's just one that I want to read that I have a hold on it at the library, but I feel like it's gonna take forever to come in, so I don't know if I will be, I might buy the book. I do have some Barnes & Noble gift cards, so I may buy the book and read it. I don't normally do that. I usually kind of try to like read it either on Kindle Unlimited or like get it through the library, and then if I really end up loving a series, then I'll buy them. But I just feel like if for some of these ones that are like newer releases and I really want to read them, I'm gonna have to buy them if I want to read them anytime soon, because the library just, there's hundreds of holds on some of the books. Okay, so let's get into it. But so this book that I'm talking about that I might end up purchasing is A Dawn of Onyx, and I'm blanking on who. I like didn't write down the authors. I'm so dumb. So it's the first book in the Sacred Stones by Kate Golden, and I've never read this author before. I don't know if this is her debut or not, but I've just heard so many people recently talking about this book, and I honestly feel like I don't even know what it's about, but I want to read it. It is a fantasy romance or romantasy book. A friend of mine on Goodreads rated it 3 out of 5 stars, so that does not have me hopeful, but I am still gonna give it a try. But yeah, it kind of sounds like your typical romantasy book. I'm excited for it. The cover is beautiful, so I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on it this month and read it. If I can, that is gonna be a book that I'm definitely reading this month. The next book that I want to read is Wicked Souls by Katie Wismer. So I read The Marionettes this past month, which is the first book in the Marionette series. Wicked Souls is the second book, and I really enjoyed it. I won't talk about it too much because I'm going to be talking about it in an upcoming video, but I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a really fun book to read. And I follow Katie on AuthorTube. She is also a YouTuber. I'll leave her channel link down below. I really enjoy her writing vlogs. I enjoy hearing her insights as she's done, I don't know, she has published quite a few books at this point, and I just feel like I learn a lot from her. I'm also going to be publishing, you know, self-publishing books, and I just feel like I learn a lot from her, and she has quite a bit of experience doing that. And yeah. So I'm looking forward to reading Wicked Souls. It's the second book, like I said, in the series. I'm maybe I might end up reading the third book in the series. It's a complete series, there's 4 books, so I might do the whole series, but the first book, Marionettes, is, I don't know how the rest of the series will be, but like the first book definitely gives like Vampire Academy, but like instead of the Guardians being like vampire, like half human, half vampire, they're witches, right? So like you have vampires being paired with witches and they're bonded together, and there's a little bit of, you know, Vampire Diaries elements in there as well, I feel like, and it is just, yeah, it was a fun book. And judging from the first book, like there wasn't a ton of, there was like a little bit of spice in the first book, but judging by that, I'm like, wow, this is gonna get really spicy. Because the first book, like, there was spice in it, but it wasn't like between the main character and her love interest. So it's a little bit more of a slower burn. And I'm like, once we get them having spicy moments together, it's gonna be a lot of spice, I feel like. Because I'm like, this isn't even between the 2 main characters. So like, we're already getting that level of spice. I can only imagine. So I'm looking forward to that book. I will be reading it this month. And again, like I said, I'm depending on how I like the second book, I may go ahead and just do the whole series this month. We'll see. But if you're looking for a completed romantasy series, you may want to check it out. And then the next book that I want to read, and again, not in any particular order, I want to read Lady of Darkness. And again, I have to pull up who the author is because I am blanking on this. It is by Melissa Rorick, I believe is how you say it. And so here's the reason I want to read Lady of Darkness. I have heard not great things, honestly, about this book. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to read it, but I do want to read it because I've been hearing really amazing things about the Legacy series by the same author, and it's set, I believe, in the same world, so it would make sense to read the Lady of Darkness book first. And I believe, let me look at, yeah, the Lady of Darkness series. There's 4, 5, there's 5 books, it looks like, for the Lady of Darkness. And then the Legacy series looks like there's only 2 out in that series so far, with the 3rd book coming out next October. So I think, yeah, I want to read the Lady of Darkness series first, and I've heard from people talking about this that like you can kind of see the growth of the author from her first book to this second series. And so even if I don't love the first book in Lady of Darkness, I'm going to power through, because I have heard some just, I feel like I've heard on Book Talk like mostly like negative things, mostly people saying that they didn't really like it, at least the people that I was watching. So I'm intrigued to see what my thoughts will be on it. But I remember I've been watching a lot of Erin from Booked and Busy, and she's been talking about the Legacy series quite a bit. And then another booktuber I was watching recently also mentioned it, and I was like, okay, I really want to read that series, but let me go read this other one first, because I don't want to, like, I want to have all the information. I like to read things in order like that if I can. So there's that. I really would like to start that series, and again, depending on how I'm feeling about it, I may add the 2nd or 3rd book this month. We'll see how many I can get to. I feel like I'm being overly ambitious. The next book that I have on my TBR for this month is one that I may push out to June, depending, but I would love to read the 3rd book in the Kindred's Curse saga by Penn Cole. I am blanking on the name of that specific book. Where is it? Heart of the Upper Flame. Because Burn of the Upper Flame is coming out. It's coming out June 1st. So I'm thinking of reading this closer to the end of the month so that I can, not have to wait too long for the fourth book to come out, because the second book ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, but it wasn't like the way that the first book ended. I was like, I need to read the second one immediately. When the second book ended, I'm like, okay, I don't want to wait, but I can wait for the third book. And I was thinking, if the third book ends on a huge cliffhanger, I don't want to have to wait too long for the fourth book. So I'm planning on reading it closer to the end of the month. And since it comes out June 1st, I probably will try to prioritize it during the last half of the month. So again, we'll see how many of these books I get to. Part of me is like, maybe way too ambitious. Another part of me is like, nah, it's gonna be fine. I can totally read this many books. The next set of books that I want to read are from the Vicious Lost Boys series. I read the first two in this book. I have to go search for it, hold on. So I read the first two books, The Never King and The Dark One, in the Vicious Lost Boys series by Nikki St. Crow, but I never read the third book and the fourth book, the last two in the series. The third book is Their Vicious Darling, and the fourth book is The Fae Princes. So I'm going to attempt to read those last two books this month. I was reminded of this series when I was watching Emily from Mama McInnes, I believe is her channel name. I will leave her link down below. I started watching her recently again. So Emily and I actually used to do Project Panning collabs back in the day, and I forgot that she had another channel where she did bookish content, and I was reminded, like, she had commented on one of my old videos from my beauty channel, and I was kind of reminded of, like, I was like, oh my gosh, like her book channel, I totally forgot about that, and I've been really into bookish content, so I started watching her again, and she was talking about this series, and I was like, oh, that's right, like, I haven't finished that series, and I remember really enjoying it. I rated the first two books 5 stars, like, I had a really good time with those books, and I can't remember if the second or the last two weren't out at the time, or if I just needed a break from the series. It is very smutty, so I was thinking maybe I got too spiced out basically and needed a break, needed to have a bit of a palate cleanser or something, and started reading other books. I don't really know, but I think it was something to do with that. So I never read the last part of the series, and I really would love to complete that series since it is a completed series. I think it would be fun to read. So part of me wants to reread the whole series because I don't really remember where the second, like, I kind of remember where the second book like leaves off, but I just, like, I'm like, I don't really remember every little thing that's happened. I feel like when I start the third book, if I'm really confused, I may go back and reread the first two. Okay, so that leaves one more book to talk about. I actually have the physical copy. So one of my goals is to be a little bit better about working through my physical TBR. I don't have a huge book collection. Part of me hates just having things that sit there. Like, so if I know that I'm not gonna reread a book, like, I wanna not have it in my house. Like, I wanna unhaul it. And I tend, like, lately the past few years, I have not been buying a lot of physical books just because, like, I'll buy them for a series that I know that I'm really liking, or they're really anticipated reads. Like, I bought House of Flame and Shadow, and I bought, what was it called? Iron Flame, because I was like, I'm not gonna wait to get these from the library because they're very highly anticipated books for me. But normally I'm like, I don't, when it's like kind of an unknown, like I don't know how I'm gonna like the book really, I tend not to want to buy a physical copy. I'm trying to, get it from the library, or like, use Kindle Unlimited or something. But lately, since I've been reading a lot more, I feel like I may try to buy more books just so I can read them sooner. I don't have to wait, but I have a few sitting on my shelves that I'm like, I haven't read these yet. I don't know if I like them, and I feel like I should prioritize those. So I'm gonna try to every month reach for at least one book in my physical TBR. So this month for May, the one that I chose is Serpent and Dove, and this is by Shelby Mahurin. I am probably not pronouncing that correctly. And like I've owned this for a while. I've heard about it so many different times from like book talkers, and honestly, yeah, it sounds like amazing. It looks beautiful, the cover, and it sounds like it's a romantasy from the back. I just remember just seeing it a bunch on Book Talk, but not really knowing what it was about. And then I went to Barnes & Noble at one point and saw it and picked it up because I was like, oh, I recognize the book cover, and then I just never read it. So yeah, I'm gonna read it and I'm excited for it. I've heard a lot of good things. It's just one of those ones where it was like, I never remembered what it was about, and I kind of want to go in blind a little bit. I like that. I like not having this synopsis. Sometimes you just like start a book and you're like, what was this supposed to be about again? And then you just kind of get to like experience it completely blind. Like, I like that for books. So yeah, this is the last book on my May TBR. How many books was that? I don't know. I feel like it was too many. I feel like I probably won't get to all of them. And if any of my library books come in, I am gonna have to prioritize those, obviously, because there's like kind of a deadline for reading those. But I'm gonna try to get to all these books in May, and I'll be back at the end of the month to let you know how it went and what I ended up reading and my thoughts on the books. So yeah. In a couple of days, there should be another video up where I'm talking about all of the books that I read in March and April. It'll be kind of a combined video, unless it ends up being too long, then I'll split it into two. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about my recent reads from the past couple of months, because I didn't get to read a ton in April, so I wanted to combine March and April, and I just wanted to talk, like there's some books in March that I read in March that I really want to talk about. So that video will be out hopefully in the next couple of days. So if you are enjoying this type of content, make sure that you subscribe. And if you're also someone who is interested in writing and knitting, I also do a little bit of that on my channel as well. So yeah. Let me know if you have any books on your TBR for the next month. Are any of our books the same? Have you read these books that I talked about? Obviously, let me know your thoughts without spoilers, of course. But I would love to hear if you enjoyed these books, if you didn't like them, or if any of these are ones that you also want to read. Maybe you could also read them in May and we can like read them together. But anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully it was just kind of like a short and sweet little TBR video, and let me know if there's anything for future monthly TBR videos you would like me to include. This is my first time doing this, so I kind of don't know if I maybe skipped talking about things that I should have talked about. And at some point I really want to do the like one of those things where you like pull out of a jar and it like gives you a prompt and then you pick a book based on that. I would love to do that. I feel like I would need a bigger physical TBR of like, or just of books. I guess I could pick a lot of Kindle Unlimited books or something as well, but just ones that ones that I can get quickly from the library. So I might try to kind of put that together and maybe do that in a couple of months. But for now, I just thought I would pick myself. I would just pick the books that I felt like reading for this next month, and like I said, it may change or it may stay the same, or maybe I don't get to all of these books, but I'm hopeful that I can. And with that being said, I'm gonna go read now. So, because I got a lot of reading to do, obviously. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if there's anything I could include to make these TBR videos better, let me know. But if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and of course leave me a comment down below, and yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Alright, this is a song that I wrote about falling too fast, but I wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't wanna lose my grounding, so you catch me not responding, and I press my lips together so you don't find any answer.